Talk about trademarked colors. So what I want you to do here is pause the video for a moment, and then in the email to me, note the company that first comes to mind when you see each of these colors. So no peeking, no zooming ahead. Send me an email with what you think, and then unpause the video and continue. Okay, so now let's talk about trademarked colors. So corporate color is oftentimes as eagerly fought over as other sorts of trademarks like names and slogans and bylines. Some arguments about corporate color has even gone as far as the Supreme Court. So it is very important. A lot of time, money, and effort is spent defending colors, especially the purple we'll talk about in a minute. So here's the answers to the quiz. All right, we'll talk about each one in turn. So Coca-Cola has their trademarked red color. I don't know how many of you might have chosen Coca-Cola or how many of you might have chosen Target. Target is also very, very similar to that red, and their red is also trademarked. I find it odd, as you will later, that the Trademark and Patent Office allowed those two colors, those two shades of red so close together. Now, one of the arguments is that Coca-Cola and Target don't necessarily share the same space as far as one's a retail outlet, one's a soft drink manufacturer. So because they don't share the same space, sometimes that is enough argument that they can then have a very close shade of red or shade of color trademarked. And sometimes they can't, as in the example with Starbucks. I don't know if there's somebody at the Trademark and Patent Office that doesn't like Starbucks, but not only could they not trademark that green, they couldn't trademark the green in a circle. They had to go as far as to make the graphic the green in a circle on a coffee cup. That's how far they had to go to be able to trademark their green. So thought that was kind of odd considering that they would let Coke and Target be so close together. The third one, Home Depot, is not trademarked. I wonder how many of you chose it. It's not trademarked because before they could get their orange, there's a company called Fiskars. They make scissors, but they also make lawn and garden equipment. They had their orange trademarked before Home Depot attempted to trademark theirs. And apparently they do share enough of a space, so to speak, that the orange could be fought over. So Home Depot does not, in fact, have this orange trademarked. The next one is the T-Mobile pink. This is one of the more hotly contested ones. Pink's interesting because it was actually the first color that was trademarked. It was trademarked by the Owens Corning fiberglass company that makes that pink fiberglass attic insulation. They even had a ad campaign using the Pink Panther. They were the first ones to trademark a pink. T-Mobile was allowed to trademark a pink, and they have since then been suing just about everybody else that uses pink. They even sued an insurance company. Now, I don't know that an insurance company and a telecom share the same space any more than Coke and Target do. And that, as far as I know, that litigation is still pending. And quite frankly, it's not that close of a pink to T-Mobile. It's certainly not as close as Coke and Target are. The other one is Tiffany. Now, this is one of the colors. Tiffany started using this color in the I have it noted down here. In 1837 is when they first started using this light blue. So much time and effort and history are behind it that Pantone actually relabeled this color of blue Pantone 1837 to pay homage, I guess, to Tiffany's long-time use of that same particular shade of blue. The next one is very interesting, this purple one. I wonder if anybody guessed this one, because I certainly wouldn't have otherwise. This is the most hotly contested color that there is out there right now. The lawsuits between Cadbury and Nestle go back and forth for decades now. So much so that Nestle has actually created its own chocolate bar called the Purple Bar. I think just to just throw a jab at Cadbury. But they've been fighting back and forth about this color purple for decades. The next one, the brown of UPS. That one's usually pretty easy to pick up because there are not many, if any, other corporate colors that are that brown color. And then the last one, 3M actually got the patent for that particular shade of light yellow for its Post-it notes. So now no other company can make light yellow Post-it notes. So next thing we'll talk about, you may notice there's one color that seems to be kind of missing from this is like your usual blue, like a navy blue, right? So let's look at some of the other colors out there. Okay. So some of the more common corporate logo colors in America. Okay. Obviously, the reds and blues are going to be the most populated ones, and the blues even more so. But you'll notice the gaps. Okay. There's this lime yellow kind of a color. The oranges really fade off fast. The yellows fade off fast, and they don't pick up again. The yellows pick up again, and the greens. But most of the successful logos that are green, that are yellow, incorporate green. So you've got BP, John Deere, etc. Then we get into the blues, and of course, everybody wants that blue color. And then it fades off into the purple. There's no real, purple, the light pinks, and you don't really get back into the pinks again until you're getting almost back into red. So the darker magenta color of T-Mobile, things like that. Now the blue is interesting because within the blue, there are so many that are so close together, none of them can be trademarked, because you can imagine the fight between Ford and GM, Dell and IBM, Nokia and Samsung. Everyone will be hogging the same blue. So none of these particular colors are trademarked. And you'll see how this is affecting some other colors as we go further on through the course. But right now, the blues are so close together that no one can really legitimately trademark one anymore. Right? So now we're going to talk a little bit about emotion of color. What colors mean to people, what behaviors you can expect out of people when they encounter these colors. All right? So we'll start with red. Associated with power, passion, energy, helps encourage action, suggests danger and aggression. Right? So a lot of times you will see red where movement is expected, or particularly in this case, not. The stop sign means don't move. Exit sign means move. And you may notice the United States is taking a hint from Europe and changing their exit signs to green for that reason, because the international audience, most of them, a lot of them, see red as a place to not go. So you will notice in buildings more and more now, exit signs are becoming green. It's I think mostly in Europe, the green exit sign, people there are used to the green, meaning that's where you would go, as in green lights, of course. Okay. Now, one other thing that red does, apparently it makes people hungry. I built this slide and I pretty much stopped gathering restaurant logos because I got bored. There are dozens more out there. I mean, I didn't include, right off the bat, I see that Burger King is even missing. Right? But apparently, red means eat as well. So, next one we'll look at is orange. Okay. It's a little bit more popular in Europe. The image on the right is the Netherlands Olympic team from a couple years ago. And then, of course, the playful, positive joy thing being Nickelodeon. The two in the middle are interesting. HubSpot and SoundCloud. They're in the technology space. And as we talked earlier about the blue becoming maybe a little bit too overused and a little too common, now if you want to stand out in the technology space, you choose something other than blue. So in this particular case, like we talked about earlier, they chose the complement of blue. So they are orange. And then orange leads a bit, into that sophistication because, like we talked about earlier, It's a tertiary color that people associate more with not being the childhood colors of the primary colors of red, blue, and yellow. So it lends a little bit to that sophistication. But it also warmth, obviously. All right, it's one of the warm colors. All right, next one is yellow. So we'll talk a little bit about the Cheerios box. Cheerios has recently tried and failed to trademark that particular color of yellow for the same reason we were talking about. Right now, there are too many other yellows in that space. So, there's Sugar Corn Pops, Honeycombs, a couple of others that are bright yellow boxes right in the cereal aisle. So they do certainly share the same space. So Cheerios recently lost an attempt to trademark that color. The other next one is yellow when it is combined with black. Now, the bee has probably been stinging human beings since the dawn of time, and the yellow and black has been associated with danger probably worldwide for millennia now. So it's a natural color combination to convey danger, don't go here. It's also very common for construction sites for that same reason, dangerous areas, which is why a lot of the construction-oriented companies have gone with the black and yellow scheme. Okay. But yellow is also associated with warmth, again, the sun, happiness, things like that. So next, talk about green. Okay. Growth and ambition, anything pro-environment. Recycling seems to have pretty much hijacked the color green. For a while there, about maybe, I don't know, 8 to 10 years ago, zombies hijacked the color green. Anything that had to do with zombies was painted a fluorescent green color. Okay. You'll see also, like we talked about earlier, that the green and yellow tend to go together very nicely for corporate logos. The image in the center is called a green room. Okay. Now, not most of the days now they're not all green, but this is one example I found that is actually a green room. But the thought was that green was particularly calming, and there is a little bit of science behind it. Apparently, green is the color of the rods in your retina that are directly across from your eyeball. So looking at green colors is actually the most relaxing position for your eye as far as its absorption of color. So there's a little bit of science behind green being calming, but that is why green rooms are called green rooms, because they all used to be painted green to calm people before they would go on stage. Let's talk about blue. All right. Tranquility, confidence, and trust. Okay. Trust, particularly in banking, automotive, technology, anything where you're going to put your life on the line or spend a lot of money. Blue, also in combination with green, is about the only thing you can use that color combination for is something eco-friendly, environmental, that kind of thing. Blue and green combination would be very rare for anything else anymore. Image in the center, again, we're talking about confidence and trust. We have our superheroes, right, based in blue. But you'll notice now, modern depictions of Superman and Batman, they are not blue anymore. They're mostly black, or at least an extremely dark blue in Superman's case. So again, even they are getting away from this overused blue, even the comic book characters. Right. Next, we'll talk about purple. Right. Again, one of the more expensive colors, not just because Cadbury and Nestle have been fighting over it for decades, but back in the medieval times, there was only one way to get purple dye, and that was from a very rare shellfish that lived on the Mediterranean seaboard. At the given time, that was the only way to get a purple dye, so those shells were actually as expensive as gold. They were worth their weight in gold, literally. Okay? So the combination of purple with gold denoted royalty for a very, very long time. Okay? And then it was also one of the more feminine colors, along with pink. But then there was, a time in the late 80s, purple became a little more popular. And then with the combination of a couple of new sports teams adopting purple, the Rockies, the Ravens, There's a few others, even though the Lakers have had it for a long time. But it's certainly not as much of feminine color anymore as it used to be. As the image on the right, a Dodge Charger, one of the most highly horse-powered cars available on the road today. They didn't make those purple to appeal to the female audience. There's enough of a female audience buying those cars to warrant them painting them purple. So purple is definitely being blurred and not quite such a feminine male connotation to it anymore. All right, next color is pink. Okay. I think it's interesting about pink because pink is something that girls in general like when they are younger, then they stop liking it as they get a little older, and then they tend to like it again as they are women. So you'll see Barbie pink on the left, Victoria's Secret's pink on the right, a little more subdued, but still it's a pink. So it's pretty well documented that if you're designing colors for female consumers, pink's only for the older and the younger group, and in that middle target range, you're going to go with more of the other colors, probably more of the secondary colors. And then there is our infamous T-Mobile pink. Oh yes, the name of the insurance company that T-Mobile is suing is called Lemonade. Right, let's look them up. Yep. For a company called Lemonade, there's that pink right and center, but why would you call your company? I guess you could call it Pink Lemonade, right? I would be expecting yellow on this webpage for sure. All right. Now we'll talk about black. Okay. So black is supposed to denote luxury. Okay. Luxury, power, premium brands, things that are expensive. And basically it's also a stand-in for no color. So Apple used to have one of the most colorful logos that there was. The old Apple logos were a rainbow. Now Apple is distinctly not a color. Neither is Mercedes-Benz, Oakley, or Chanel. They don't have a corporate color. They try to make it just black or white. And then you'll see, like in the center of the Mercedes-Benz homepage, has a black motif to it. And then some of the more premium versions of Jack Daniels and other whiskeys are sold in black boxes to denote they are more expensive than their regular versions. One thing about black that we are all familiar with is that it connotates mourning. Right? So you would never wear a black dress to a wedding. Apparently, it's in bad taste. Right? Well, what we'll talk about in a little bit when it comes to cultures, those colors change. Red is mourning in some cultures. White is mourning in some cultures. So if you're going to design things like baby announcements or wedding invitations in a culture other than the one you're familiar with, make sure that you're not using a color that would be severely out of place. Next one is white. Okay. Purity, cleanliness, and space. And again, white can also stand for no color at all, which is what the Cotton Association tries to do. Cotton does their best to print that logo in white on any subdued neutral background they can. It's their preferred way to print it. They would rather it be printed white than in black. The center is the iPad Air website for Apple. Obviously, mostly white. And also, white cars. Why are white cars so prevalent? You know, cars with like no color. So the thinking behind it is that white cars show dirt easily, of course, as do black cars, but they do not show scratches easily. So a scratch on a black car looks white, and a scratch on a white car looks white. So it's a lot easier to wash dirt off of a car than it is to buff scratches out of a car, which is why the color white is so popular on delivery vans and things like that. It's not because the paint is cheaper or anything like that. It's just they tend to hold up a little better as far as visually from scratches. Now, one slide that I did not prepare was for brown. Okay? We talked a little bit about brown with UPS, but brown's major connotations now are comfort And I think we all know that definitely chocolate, coffee, and wood all give that feeling of comfort, right? Sitting in a wood paneled room drinking coffee, it's very calming, obviously. So that's what brown is. Now we talked back about some of those other colors, the color combinations, like the fact that oranges, especially a more pale orange, is not very common in corporate logos, and the lighter pinks are certainly not very common in corporate logos. So I would think that the worst mistake that you could make would be to combine those two colors. Let's combine a pink, let's combine an orange. That'll be an awful logo. Except it's not. So you can break all of these rules if you do it boldly and consistently. Dunkin' Donuts has had the pink and orange logo color combination for decades, and now it is one of the most most recognizable marks in the market. So, with that, when you choose your colors, you can follow the rules or break them. But like I said, if you break them, really break them, and enjoy the selections and enjoy the adventure. Thanks.